what should a family do when some want to go to one church and others want to go to a different church? So here's what I would say is there is a flow chart of submission in a family. That's one thing to consider. So if you're a typical married couple with kids, kids go where parents go. As they get older, you can kind of let them free. I've had kids start coming to this church, upper teenagers, and eventually parents followed, or parents stayed. But, that's one thing, is that obviously if you're talking about, your 12-year-old doesn't get to pick his own church. They go with you. When the husband and wife can't decide, you become a little bit more in a pickle, especially when it becomes like a small difference. If you're talking about a small difference, like a preferential thing, I would advise wives to follow their husbands, especially if your husband's adamant about attending a church. Praise the Lord, right? There's a lot of women who don't have that. You should just be thankful he wants to attend a church. But you know what? If you got a guy who's on the fence, well, I really want to go to this church. Okay, I'll go there when you go. But if you're not going, I'm going over here. Because that's another side of things. It's like, now if it's a church with false teaching, something that's just, this is absolutely wrong and it's not glorifying God, and it's like, there's a place where you have to obey God before man. And so, nope, like I can't go over there. And this could be just an unequally yoked couple. I mean, we've had people where, one person's Jehovah's Witness and the other person's not. So it's like, well, I'm not going to go with you there. I'm going to go over here. But realistically, again, if you can let go of some of your preferences so you can go as a family, I think that is important. That's good. But again, there's other situations where families come up with their own unique things. So I've seen families do things different ways all the time. I think ultimately a whole family worshiping together is the best case scenario. And especially again, like husband and wife when they can together. But I've seen unique things too. So, but if you guys are aiming for the most biblical church and everyone the family's on that same page, hopefully they can find a church that meets that requirement. All that said, do we have our little rotatey list still available? Yeah, and I've known, we've had other people from our church here who. Yep, and it is. I've seen people do different churches, and I think, and your husband goes to the Catholic church. And I think that's another, it's a big enough difference that it's kind of like making that decision. And so, yeah, I would hate to see people going to a different church just because, again, of like the worship or because of some little, kind of a smaller thing or whatever.